Welcome. Just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves. We're going to let everybody kind of hop in here for a second. So in the chat, if you guys just want to throw in kind of where you're at, what's going on, where you're located, how you found out about this, and we'll get started here in about 30 seconds or so once some more people jump in. So I'm just opening up the chat over here. It looks like we've got folks from New York, California. We've got folks from Mexico, Canada, Florida, Utah. So it looks like we got some people all over, all over the country and even, I guess, all over North America. So it's pretty exciting to have you guys all here. I know that, what we're going to get into tonight is all about financial freedom, right? So I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I'll tell you a little bit about how, what different ways that we can reach financial freedom and go a little bit more in depth. Because, I always tell people that, with Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or however you found out about this, I love those platforms because you can get out a lot of information to a lot of people and introduce people to, kind of the base level concepts, but it's hard to go in deeper because, you're talking about 2 or 3 minutes of time, right? At a max. So it's 10 slides or it's a 60-second video or whatever. So for some of those people, like you people that are here tonight, you're interested in going a little bit deeper, probably a little bit more serious than maybe the average person, and really investing in your time and education. So tonight is all about, how to fire your boss as soon as possible, right? So a lot of us, it's about quitting our job. A lot of it's about building wealth or becoming financially free. And for most of us, it's about kind of all those things, right? So we're going to go over kind of the difference between those as we dive into some concepts tonight. So this is how anyone at any level can become financially free in 5 to 10 years or less. Obviously there's a lot of things that you can control. There's a lot of things you can't control. However, as far as, things that you can control and picking your strategy that's going to fit your time length that you're looking for, your time frame that you're looking for, it is very possible. Okay, so of course there's we'll talk about this a little bit later, but of course there's some things that maybe you cannot control, but as far as having pretty good market conditions and also the things you can't control, there are ways to definitely get there within 5 to 10 years. And I think a lot of people in here would be like, hey, I just want to get there in 15 or 20 years. I just don't want to work for 40 years, right? So we'll go over all those as well. So my name is Tyler Wright. I'll go a little bit more about who I am a little bit later. Those are my social channels there. Make sure to stick around until the end of the webinar for a special bonus. So everyone here will, at the end, they'll get a free copy of my new unreleased ebook. So this is, a 20 to 25 page guide of, financial freedom, how I was able to reach it, some stuff that we went over tonight, but a little bit more in depth, and it will be kind of an ebook for those people that like to have a nice hard copy of something they can read. It's not a hard copy, but you know what I'm saying. It's words in a book. So some people enjoy that as well. I'm also be giving away my rental property deal calculator at the end. So, and then for those watching live, we'll have a special Q&A session at the end where I can answer any questions that you might have. So I want you guys to, for a second, I'm going to move this ugly face out of the way, put it somewhere. There, that'll have to be good enough there. So I want you guys to imagine for a second, what would it be like, right, if you never had to stress over money again and you could just focus on building generational wealth to take care of you, your current family, and then even potentially your future family? What if it would it be like if you were able to make more money, invest into assets that paid all or most of your bills? Right. So obviously for most people that would completely change their lives, where maybe it starts with a cell phone bill, maybe it ends up with a rent payment, maybe it ends up with all your bills, right? But there is very, possible ways over the next 5, 10, 15 years, sometimes even sooner, depending on how much action you're taking, where those things are all very possible. And the last one is, imagine what your life would be like if you could quit your job and you could work on what you want, where you want, when you want, with who you want. And we'll go over kind of a little bit more about what I mean by those things, but those are really your work freedom, your location freedom, your time freedom, and then of course, people freedom as well. And so that's something that I currently experience. We'll go into how I got there. But obviously you understand that my story is not going to be your stories. We're all different people, but this is more about me telling my story to kind of give you a path to kind of imagine things, but also diving deeper into, what are some other ways to get there where maybe your preferences or where you live or who you are is different than who I am. And I'll say this, well, it's actually very possible. So this is some that I worked with over the last 6 to 8 months. Again, this isn't just about real estate. This isn't just about stock market. This isn't just about lowering your expenses, raising your income, all those things. It's really about everything. And so this is a guy who, he kind of chose real estate and a couple different things. But this is Corey. He's a student that worked with me. Before this, he was, in his mid-20s, a nurse. Didn't really have any idea of personal finance or raising his income or what to do with that income. So he took my real estate course. We worked together a few different times, but just to kind of give you an idea of how your life can change. So in just 6 months since I met him, before he was making decent money as a nurse, like I said, he owned no real estate and he had $1,500 in rent. It actually might have been a little bit more than that. After learning some of the concepts that we went over, one of them being, house hacking. Before that, he switched into travel nursing, which is a way to do contract work, make more money to do the same job. Obviously that's a thing that's specific to travel nurses, but also there's contract work for a lot of different industries. He owns his primary home now, and he actually pays $0 in rent because he's bought out a 4-unit complex. The other 3 units are rented out by other people, and they pay for the mortgage, the utilities, everything together. He lives for free, and the house is also appreciating in value. As you can see, he just bought his second rental, and this is all within 6 to 8 months, which I thought was insane. And this just happened. I need to honestly reach back out to him because I was trying to get more details about this second one, but I don't think he had an opportunity to respond. But so you can see how his life changed, right? He's set to make $75,000 more this year from the property appreciating, the loan being paid down, the cash flow from the rental properties, also taking the travel job, and he's saving close to $18,000 a year from not having to pay rent. So as you can see, that he's made literally a 6-figure decision just by working a couple of different things around, right? So disclaimer, obviously you guys understand that everything here is educational. We all have our different, who we are, like I said, different families, different aspects of our lives, different things going on. So I just want to make sure that, whenever you do need some sort of like direct financial advice, these are all ideas, and in education, you will be able to take a lot of direct value and strategies out of this. But I just want everybody to obviously understand that, there's a lot of other factors that I'm not able to work with you one-on-one on through a webinar like this. So just make sure that, you consult a, financial professional to make sure to take into account risk tolerance and all those other type of things before you start making, monetary decisions. So what will you learn today? Well, in the next hour, we're going to try to be as efficient as possible, right? I want to give you the maximum amount of value in the shortest amount of time because I know you got other things going on. You're probably busy. You're probably wondering about cutting out early tonight or whatever because you got other things you got to work on. I get that. So I want to come in, deliver maximum amount of value in the quickest amount of time. So we're going to learn the 3 main ways you can reach financial freedom. And you'll also get the exact formula that I use, as well as many different options to find the formula that is going to fit you as well. So just turn my phone on, do not disturb here. So let's all turn off our phones. Wow, I actually didn't even notice. I forgot the slide was here, but that makes sense. Let's turn off our distractions. Let's put our phone on airplane mode or something for the next 45 minutes, unless obviously you got, some super important call going on. Let's dive into this and let's not get distracted and try to do three different things. All right, let's dive into one thing, and that way we can really get the most out of this, right? And as you can see, as I'm turning off my phone, I'm self-declared king of trying to do too much at once. So let's take this hour and let's really dive into it. So I'm sure a lot of you guys already know who I am. You might have taken, worked with me in the past, or you might have followed me for a while, on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. But I did get my bachelor's degree in finance from the University of Central Florida. I became a financially free millionaire. I became a millionaire at 27 years old, and now I'm a financially free millionaire, and I'm now 29 years old, right? So millionaire at 27, financially free and retired from corporate America forever at 28. And now I just turned 29 a few months ago. So I'm a real estate investor. I have a primary home. I have 7 rental units. I have 10 plus sources of income between, stock dividends, different rental properties, one-on-one coaching, courses, working with brands, advertising, affiliate marketing, selling covered calls, all those different things as well. So, and I also have over $750,000 invested in the stock market. And then I'm the CEO and / owner of Defining Wealth. So I built this company. I started a year and a half, 2 years ago. It took me probably 3, 4, and 5, probably 6 months to get to even like 1,000 followers on Instagram, which is pretty crazy to think because now we're currently at 90,000 or more followers. And then Twitter and TikTok are also at 20,000 and 60,000. So we're over 150, closing in on 200,000 followers, and I just couldn't be more happy with the impact that we've been able to make through this account. So how did I get there? And how did I become financially free at 28 years old? Well, growing up, I grew up in a small town. I had a loving family, but I didn't really have any financial education. So I think a lot of people see me and they're like, oh, well, your parents must have been teaching you about real estate or investing from early on. and no, I don't know if it was necessarily a situation where, like I said, I consider myself very blessed. I had 2 loving parents, ended up having 3 loving parents after my parents got divorced and my mother remarried. But it wasn't a situation where like, every single day they were sitting me down talking about finance and investing and real estate and all this stuff. Right. So I got good grades. I worked hard. I think that relayed into, or that, helped me out in a lot of ways as I went on. And I went to a state school. I was able to graduate debt free from the scholarships that I had and working a few jobs in school. So, even that right there, even though there's nothing crazy, right? There's no financial education. I didn't go to Harvard, right? I didn't go to Ivy League school. I got scholarships, but they weren't given to me. It was from academics. And I worked multiple jobs. So as you can see, I'm sure there's people obviously that were in better situations and there's people in worse situations, but I think we can agree that, it wasn't like there was this, super overwhelmingly like, gifted situation growing up that got me to where I am. And the reason why I say that is because, all these factors matter, right? Where you started, where you ended up, what your family was like. Obviously there's things such as people being, giving head starts or behind, right? But the point is that I think that while those things matter and we have to consider those things, we can't prioritize those things, and we've got to prioritize what we can control. Because I think that's the best way to live the best way possible. So being aware that those things exist, but also, prioritizing who we are and what we can control. And that way we're able to affect positive change into our life. So I went into the real world. I started off making $30,000 a year. So still nothing like crazy. I was an RA, like an alumni RA kind of deal. So I was living rent free, even though I didn't own any real estate, and I was making $30,000 a year. And so what I realized pretty quickly is that I got a job actually in healthcare staffing and sales, which is, mostly all commission based. And what I realized is that after a week, this wasn't something that I really wanted to probably be doing my whole life. The idea of kind of working 40 years and in that job, we only got off really like 10 days a year. And I didn't even want to take time off because taking time off stressed me out more. The thought of taking time off than just working. Right. So, and work stressed me out as well. But, what I knew is like, all right, I need to go on a journey to figure out everything I possibly can about personal finance, investing, all that kind of stuff. Right. So I kept my expenses low. I raised my income mostly through my job in the beginning where it was commission based. So I knew that, all the things: show up early, you leave late, work hard, learn from, people that are doing well in your job, put yourself out there, let people know what you do, and really just kind of grind it out and work hard and control what you can control. Right. And so I started investing in the stock market because I didn't know about real estate. I didn't know about all these other things. And so I started there. After a few years, 2-3 years, I was making over 6 figures. I was barely spending any money at all. I had a paid off car. I was living rent free for the first couple of years, and all that different stuff as well. So, in the beginning, it was more about raising my income, investing in the stock market. Then I learned about real estate. I bought my primary home, and then I bought a triplex. I fixed the triplex up, and then I refinanced it, took my money out, and I bought a quadplex. I fixed that up, made the value of the home way more, and then I refinanced and took all that money out. Now I'm in the process of trying to buy another unit or another apartment complex or something like that as well. So at this point, I had already become a millionaire even before I got on social media. All $1.5 million of my net worth is from off of social media. Of course, I did build a business around what I love, which is teaching, coaching, and helping people. And I think that personal finance is something that I love to do, something that the world needs, something that I can be paid for, and something that, it is something that I can build over the course of my life. And so, my kind of idea, switched up over time, where it was about, hey, I need to just quit my job. I need to quit my job. And then as I actually got closer, I'm like, all right, well, what am I quitting my job to do? And during COVID, I started this account. And I started it because I felt like I wasn't contributing enough to society, right? I think when we're young, we're in all these clubs and organizations, and we're, doing community service and philanthropies and all these different things as we're going up. And then when we get into the workforce, we kind of go from the top of the totem pole to the bottom of the totem pole, right? We don't really have much say. We don't really feel like we're making an impact. And for me, building this business was something I could control. I could put out whatever information I want. Of course, there was a lot of power, but of course I use that power responsibly and put out good information that I believe will help people, which is why you guys are here tonight. So for me, I built up over $750,000 in the stock market. My primary home and 7 rental units, about to buy another apartment complex or an Airbnb. I'm bringing in, $7,000-8,000 a month from real estate. I'm also, bringing in $3,000-4,000 a month from the stock market that I could pull if I needed. And I've also built a business centered around something I've accomplished and something that I love, where I'm also bringing in more than enough to live. So I've created this idea of my ideal life, which is doing what I want, doing what I want to do, still working, right? For me, that's what I want. But doing it in a way where I get to help people every single day and affect positive change. So we'll go over a lot of these different, scenarios tonight, and why that's important. It's important because that can kind of give you an idea of how my mindset changed over time. It went from income, which is good, to the stock market, which is good, which is real estate, which was a little bit probably quicker for me to quit my job. And then I got to a point where I was like, all right, well, what do I want to do? I need to build a business, right? And obviously, I don't think I could have gone in a different order for my personal life, but we're going to go over kind of how I made those decisions and how you can make decisions for you as well. So if you've ever attended a webinar before, I know you might be thinking, well, is this going to be worth my time, right? So real quick, before we jump into the goods, these are all from past webinars. I know it's kind of tough to read, but they're all from Zoom webinars, and people say, hey, I'm really grateful. Thanks so much for all the information. So I don't want this to just be something where you came in and you're like, oh, like I didn't feel like I got a lot out of this, right? So that's why I want to be efficient. That's why I want to get to the point. And that's when I want you guys to leave with much, much, much more value than you came with. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that there's a lot of false and limiting beliefs around financial freedom. And, I tell people that I give people 2 things when it comes to financial freedom. I give you the information that you need to be successful, and also give you the inspiration you need to be successful, because I can teach you about real estate. I can teach you about the stock market. I can teach you about online business. I can teach you about all these different things, right? But if you don't have the mindset where you truly believe that it's possible for you, and possible for you within the given time frame that you want, then you have zero chance, regardless of the strategies that right? So it's a combined approach to knowing the mindset and also the tools and strategies as well. So people always say, hey, financial freedom takes 30 to 40 years of working to reach, the typical retire at 65. The truth is, many people, I reached financial freedom within, I guess it was about 6 to 7 years. There's people that have done it sooner. There's people that do it longer. But I think the main goal is putting yourself in a situation to try to get to wherever you want to get to as soon as possible, whether that be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and not just saying, hey, well, I guess everybody just works till 35 or till 35 years until they're 65 or 45 years, whatever it is, right? And the truth is, another false statement here is you need to be a multi-millionaire to retire. And, the truth is you can, right? But you don't have to. It depends on where your money's coming from. It depends on what kind of income sources you have. And, I think to retire and absolutely do nothing, eventually you're going to have to do that, right? At 65 or whenever you get to that age where you can't work or you really don't want to work. You probably do need to be a multimillionaire to retire at that level, to kind of live off your what you've earned, right? But the truth is that there's other ways to retire much, much sooner than not being a multimillionaire, not even being a millionaire. Because I think it's more about getting to, hey, what do you want to be doing on a daily basis? Because most of us, especially in here, I would say that you guys are not people that just want to sit on a couch. Otherwise, you wouldn't even been here tonight. So it's more about like using real estate and stocks and potentially online business or a business in general to kind of get to doing something on a daily basis that drives you, that you're passionate about, that you love, while also building wealth for the long term so you can eventually retire. Another thing I hear people say is I don't want to invest in real estate or start a business. The truth is there's many different ways to reach financial freedom, and they all come with their different pros and cons and their different timelines. So first of all, I wouldn't even say those two things if you aren't truly aware of what those two things are, the different strategies within those things. But the truth is that you don't have to do either of those things. You could still retire much, much earlier, right? So we'll go on that as well. People say, this is the big one, right? This is the big mindset one. Financial freedom is for someone else. It's for the guy that went to Harvard. It's for the person that doesn't look like me. It's for the person that came from, a super wealthy upbringing, right? There's too much work involved. They don't have enough time. It's too hard, too complicated. The truth is it's not easy, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So I'm not going to come here and just promise you guys, oh, here's the world, right? All you got to do is kind of sit on your butt and spend 10 minutes a day and you'll retire 15 years earlier, right? It's a lot easier than you probably think, right? Once you become knowledgeable about the strategies that we use to do that. But at the same time, it's very, very doable, right? I know people that are men, women, black, white, come from all 50 states. I know people from different countries. I know people from poor backgrounds, wealthy backgrounds, of course. I know people from all different walks of life, all different types of people, all different ages, right, that have accomplished this in 5 to 10 years or less, or within a given time frame of what they wanted, right? So again, we understand that there are things where it makes it harder, more difficult because of society and history and how things have panned out or whatever the case may be is. But I want you guys to truly believe, because if you believe that something else controls your success, even if it does have an effect, but if you believe it controls your success, then you've got no chance. If you believe that there are things that affect you, but you're going to overcome them because you yourself have more control over them, the outside factors, then you're giving yourself the opportunity that you need to change your life. So another quick mindset before we jump into the 3 strategies. Spending versus investing, right? So everybody talks about spending money. I spend more money probably than most people that but I spend money on things that I consider investments, right? Buying back my time, which is, you can't do this all at the beginning, right? This is as time goes on, but now I'm at a point where I want to pay someone to cut my grass. Why? Well, first of all, I have terrible allergies. Second of all, it buys me back my time. Third of all, I'm not good at it. I don't want to do it. I don't enjoy it. Fourth of all, I can spend my time doing more revenue generating activities, or just spending time doing happiness generating activities, spending time with my family, dogs, whatever, right? So, and I think education too, right? And we'll dive into the last one. So education, I think a lot of people, they're always talking about, oh, well, hey, can you, send me a YouTube link or YouTube videos or Google and this or that. And, I'm somebody that's done that a lot. And I think there's a lot of great information out there on YouTube and Google and stuff like that. But when it comes to education, the best education you can get is learning from someone that's already done what you have. And typically Google and YouTube are great for like really specific things like, hey, what's the best credit card, right? Or whatever. But to build a life or a system, it goes back to spending versus investing. Investing is something where, when I started this online business, I've invested in coaches that have done what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to build, a brand online to impact and help as many people as possible. I've invested in real estate coaches along the way, stock investing or financial advisors. So I think, trying to get out of the mindset of like, I don't want to spend, and really focus on like, how can I invest my money, right? Some of that's stock, some of that's real estate, some of that's business directly, but some of it's also either taking away time that you're wasting on other things that you don't want to be doing that are not productive, and also helping expedite your plan by having people that have done what you're trying to do help you do what you're trying to do faster, right? And of course, there's things like delayed gratification, scarcity and abundance, and risk taking, right? So delaying gratification, right? Like if it kind of goes back to spending, investing. If I just try to get everything right now, right, and spend every dollar right now and not invest either in coaches or time or investments, then I'm not allowing it to grow, right? So it's the theory of giving up $5 now for 15 in the future, right? Or you get the point, right? Scarcity versus abundance, same kind of thing. If you believe that money is scarce, you believe there's not enough out there, you believe only a certain amount of people can build successful businesses or invest in real estate or invest in the stock market, and it's only out there for this many people, then you're not going to do it, right? But if you believe that, everybody should believe in abundance now. Why? Because the government just printed more money than has ever been created ever, right? So there is money out there, right? And money is abundant. Money is this thing that is infinite, and it's rolling and rolling and rolling. And so there's money, there's opportunity. And when somebody starts a business, they that idea came from nothing, right? They could have easily not started a business, right? But if somebody like Damon John is his first person that came to mind, he started FUBU clothing brand. If he just would have not started that brand, it was just an idea in his head, that's $0, right? But he turned it into tens of millions, maybe hundreds of $1 million company, right? So where did that money come from? Well, it came from an idea. It came from nothing. It came from abundance, right? And then risk taking. So a lot of people think everything's risky, but we have to change our mindset about risk. We have to understand that the biggest risk you can take is actually not taking any risk at all, right? Changing jobs, maybe getting more degrees or building new skills or starting a business or investing in real estate, investing in stocks, investing in coaches, right? Those are things that people will tell you are risky, but those people don't have what you have. So you have to go look at the people that do have what you have and understand that there is going to be some things that society calls risk that aren't actually risk, and you need to do those things in order to get to where you want to get to. So the biggest thing when it comes to financial freedom, right? So it all comes down to kind of this structure. So you have your income, right? From your job, your side hustle, your company, right? And most people, what they do is they spend money on wealth limiting things, right? They spend money on their expenses, which you have to have expenses, right? And or paying off debt. So they're racking up debt, student loans, credit card, personal loans. And of course, some of those are worse than others. Some of those are necessary. Some of those things can be avoided. Same thing with this, but most people get this, right? And they don't make enough of this. And then they have too much of this and too much of this, right? And then so they don't even get to this side of the chart, right? So we want to focus on maximizing this, not necessarily limiting this, but being aware of this and making sure there's not any big problems. Same thing with this one, but really focusing on raising this so that we can focus on really this one, but also kind of getting this in order just as protection, and then focusing on investing, right? So what does financial independence look like? Well, as you can see on that last slide, right, we talked about income going into savings and investing. So this investing in the bottom right becomes the top middle here, right? So we can invest into, take our money, invest into stocks, business, or real estate, right? So stocks is our 401k, brokerage, potentially crypto, those things pay us in dividends, which are, portions of profit from companies that they pay back to investors. And that goes back into, more shares. It grows in appreciation, which you can later sell off as a profit, use that money. Or you can invest into your business. Obviously a lot of businesses don't really require much money at all to start up nowadays, whether it be like online, social media, services, stuff like that. But, you make revenue, right? And your revenue from your business, right? You could be doing this and this at the same time, taking this, investing in the stock market and real estate. And also, sorry about that, your revenue taking the stock market, real estate, right? So the money's coming here and also potentially coming from here. You could be investing in your business depending on what kind of business it is, but investing here, it's growing in appreciation, buying more dividends, buying more stocks, buying more shares, and the whole process turns into the circle. And so eventually you don't need this, right? There's enough money here, dividends, appreciation, cash flow, appreciation, revenue from your business. There's enough money in this circle right here to where you are making money from your assets, to where you have control over your time, or you're focusing on your business as opposed to focusing on maybe a W-2 job that you don't enjoy. So what's the first way to reach financial freedom? It would be through the stock market, right? And so this is your typical FI or financial independence number, right? This is the 4% rule. So the 4% rule came from a study called the Trinity study. It was by a bunch of, and I'm going to mess up this word, economists. Actually, I think economists, I don't know. That's probably the best I've ever said it. But those people, right? They did a study and they tried to see how much money can you take out of your portfolio per year, as long as it's properly allocated between stocks and bonds, and in index funds and in the right things, right? How much can you take out of that each year and not run out of money over the course of 30 years, right? So basically, if you took out 4% per year, you're like, all right, well, you'd be done, right, in 25 years. But your money's also growing. So your money might be growing 7%, but you also might be losing money. So they did it like they started it basically every year, 31, 32, 1971, 1972, right? And so on, and said, hey, let's look at history and say, like, let's say you started in this year based on the stock market returns, when they were, all that stuff. What could you take out? The number they came up with, and this also includes inflation over time, right? So inflation is a little bit higher. So maybe, you even want to go a little bit lower than 4%, but they basically said you could take 4% of your stock holdings out per year, and not run out of money over the course of a 30-year or potentially longer period. So as an example, this is what you'll see as a typical FI number. You take your annual expenses times 25, right? And that's the stock portfolio you would need, because multiplying by 25 is the same thing as dividing by 4%, right? Which is the 4% rule. So annual expenses, let's say they're $60,000. That means your stock portfolio that you would need is 60,000 times 25, which would be $1.5 million, which is a lot of money, right? $1.5 million stock portfolio is a lot of money. But that's what people typically look at when it comes to financial independence. But we'll dive into some other ways as well. So how does that work, right? So let's look at a compound interest calculator. I'm sure you guys have all messed around with one, right? So let's say we had $0. Let's say our monthly contribution was, and again, this might be small for you, large, whatever, doesn't matter. But we're just trying to look at, okay, what does this give us, right? So what we'll do is we'll do it over 40 years, just to kind of see more time. If we contributed $3,000 a month, started with zero, for 40 years at 10% per year return, right? And obviously we have to calculate inflation at the end, but that would leave us with $16 million. You might be like, that's insane. That's not true. That's false, right? But the reason why it's not is because of compound interest. So as you can see, this dotted line on the bottom is how much we contributed, but this is how much money we have, because it's on average, right? It's not going to go all the way up and just like this. Like it's going to go up more jagged along the way, because it might be like, oh, a negative return, and then a huge positive return, negative return, positive return, right? Because the stock market on average will give you 10%. So, but this gives us a good idea, right? So after 40 years, we'd have $16 million if we just contributed $3,000 a month, which $3,000 a month, you might be saying, hey, that's a lot of money. But at the same time, relatively speaking, it's really not, right? If you were able to raise your income through ways that I teach people, and you're making $100,000 a year, right? That means you could still spend $40,000 to $50,000 a year, depending on where you live, right? That may or may not be reasonable. But put away $3,000 a month, or start with 300 and then 500 and then 1,000, right? As time goes on, your careers, hopefully you're making more and more, et cetera, right? So where does this leave us after 20 years? So after 20 years, that would leave us with $2 million, right? As you remember, we needed $1.5 million to retire in this scenario. So that means in this scenario, at $3,000, it would take us about 17 to 18 years to retire, which some people might be saying, hey, that's not very quick. Some people say it's like, hey, it's way quick. But what you've got to understand is that the typical retirement is 45 years, right? People work for 40 to 45 years. And typically they don't have anywhere near this amount of money when they retire. The average person that's like 65 years old has like $200,000 or something like that. It's insane, right? And they rely on Social Security, which is next to nothing. And it might not even exist down the road. And then also they rely on still working, most people. So you're comparing working for 45 years and maybe still having to work, not having any really that much money from Social Security, and not really having enough to really survive and have a good retirement, versus having a great retirement in 15 to 20 years, right? So, and obviously if you invest more, you can get there quicker, et cetera, but just that gives you kind of an idea, right? Second, I'm trying to get back to the, I guess, wrong selection. There we go. Okay. So option two would be obviously real estate, right? So how to make money through real estate. So in real estate, you make money in 5 different ways. So there's cash flow, which is typically the monthly rent minus the monthly expenses. Real estate averages 3% per year in value, in increase in value per year, which is appreciation. But what people don't tell you is that there's leverage, right? So if you're only putting down 20% on a property, and that means that although it's increasing 3% per year from the value of the property, right? You get 100% of that 3%, right? Even though you only own 20%. So I know that might be difficult for some people to kind of wrap their heads around, but basically the bank doesn't care. Like if the price of the house goes up by $200,000, The bank doesn't come to you and go, well, you only own 30% of the house, so we want 70% of that appreciation. All they want is their loan back, right? Which is very powerful over time. 3 is equity capture, right? Which basically in real estate, a lot of times you're able to buy houses under value. Maybe the seller wants to get rid of it. Maybe it needs work. Maybe it needs updating, whatever. But you might be able to capture equity on the front end. The 4th is principal pay down, which is the tenant paying down the loan for you. And the 5th is tax advantages. So you're making cash flow. The properties are appreciating. The bank is buying the majority of the property for you, but you're getting all the appreciation. You can buy properties under value. The tenants are paying off the loan for you, and it's cash flowing on top of that. And then you're also saving money on your taxes, right? So let's look at an example of how this all works with real estate, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up, I want to pull up one more thing for you guys here as we go through this. Give me 1 second. So we're gonna pull up an example deal here that I have for you guys that I've included here. So this is I don't want you guys to get wrapped up in the price of the home and all that stuff, but I want you guys to get an idea of real estate, right, and how it works, right? So if there's a home valued at $160,000, this is actually very similar to the first triplex that I bought 4 or 5 years ago, right? And so obviously prices have increased then, but there are still a ton of deals like this in the South, the Midwest, different areas, and you can buy a property, get a property manager and team to run it for you, so you don't necessarily have to be there. But let's just kind of try to wrap our heads around the money and how we make money with real estate, right? So there's a home valued at $160,000. It's a $150,000 purchase price. The money down on that would be $34,000. That's 20% plus closing. The monthly rent you could charge would be about $2,500, which is 3 units times $800, $900 per unit. The monthly expenses, which is your mortgage, principal, and interest, your property taxes, your insurance, your utilities, etc., is about $1,500 per month, which is, kind of, this is almost exactly like my first deal again. So your cash flow might be $1,000 a month from this property. So after year 1, you bought it, in theory, right, $10,000 less than what it was for. It appreciated $5,000, and obviously we know that everything's appreciating way, way, way more than that. So I've made $50,000-$60,000 on appreciation just on this home alone, which I've refinanced, taken out to go buy other properties with. Cash flow is $12,000 a month. Principal pay down is $2,000 a year from the tenants, and then there's also $1,100 in tax savings. So let's look at this one more time. So we'd be looking at the money on the right becomes the on the left. So total money spent $34,000, which would give us $29,000 return, which is all these numbers on the left added up. And that would give us a 34% return, cash on cash, right? Because that's $12,000 in cash flow divided by the $34,000 we put in, which gives us a 35% return. The total return, and this sounds crazy and it sounds like unreasonable, but this is literally a return in real estate. My return was actually much more than this because it's $29,000 divided by the $34,000 I put in. That's 87% return, right? Obviously, stock market is 7 to 10%. Obviously, real estate requires more work. You have to go find a good deal, right? You have to get someone to set it up. You have to put tenants in there. But the reward is that you can make much, much, much more money, which is why almost 90% of real estate or millionaires have some sort of real estate, or they invest in real estate. So let's look at that over the course of time, right? So now your mortgage payment is going to stay the same for 30 years, right? But your cash flow is going to go up, your rent's going to go up over time, expenses will go up a little bit, but after 15 years, instead of making $15,000 or $12,000 in cash flow, you're now making $22,000 in cash flow from one property. You've accumulated $132,000 in extra rent, and you also own a $400,000 house free and clear. You're making another $50,000 per year in cash flow, which is 130% return per year. You've also accumulated an extra $368,000 after the course of the 30 years, right? So you don't have to keep it that whole time. You could refinance it, take money out, whatever. But this is kind of how real estate works, right? So don't get hung up on the amount. Let's go through the numbers one more time. So you invested $34,500 one time. After the setup and the purchase, you have a property manager ideally doing 99% of the work. In 31 years, you own a $400,000 house paid off in full that's paying you $50,000 a year in profit, right? And this is just one house. So imagine over the course of those years, you buy, a new rental property every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, right? So now you have 10 properties or 20 properties, right? So if you had 10 properties like that, that would be $4 million in real estate, paying you $500,000 a year, right? So you can see how this can compound quickly over time, because when you have your income plus one rental property, well, the second one will come a little bit faster because now you've got the extra rental income from the first property, right? The third one will come even faster because you've got 1 and 2, and so on, right? So if you guys are excited, throw in the chat. I'm trying to be fast and get through this efficiently because I want to give you guys as much information as possible, but throw a yes in the chat, or throw me something in the chat. Let me know you guys are alive. Let me know you guys are enjoying this. I love going in depth, and we'll have a ton of time for questions and stuff like that, but I want to make sure that I'm cognizant of your time and respectful of your time. So, okay, we got a bunch of yeses in the chat, a bunch of woohoos. All right, everybody's alive. That's good to hear. Awesome. I'm glad you guys are excited. I'm glad you guys are loving it. I'm glad you guys are invested here. So as you can see, we'll hop back to option 3 here. So option 3 on this would be reaching financial freedom through an online business or business, right? So I'll give you guys a couple of different examples here. Obviously, if you make $5,000 or if you want $5,000 a month, right, you could invest in the stock market, right? And you would need the 1 million or 1.5 million. You could invest in real estate, right? And you'd be looking to try to gain $5,000 in cash flow, which might come a little bit sooner. And then there's also business, right? So for this might be for someone that wants to be an entrepreneur, or somebody that's okay with taking the extra risk, or somebody that, their main goal is like, hey, well, if I just need $5,000, why don't I just find another way to make $5,000 outside of my job to where I can quit my job, if that's your goal, right? So, and again, even when you make money through online business, as we went over here, even if you replace this with this, right, you're still making money and building wealth over time through pretty much stocks and or real estate, right? But a lot of people say, hey, I don't want to be an entrepreneur, I don't want to run an online business, and I totally get that. But I give it the option because sometimes if you're just looking to build $5,000-$6,000 and you want to build something that's scalable, then it can be an easier way to make the jump away from quitting your job. For me, I invested in stocks, invested in real estate because that's when I learned about things. And I accidentally started a business because I just started posting about stocks and real estate online. And I was at a point where I was able to retire from just my stocks and real estate alone. But also now I get the opportunity where it's a cherry on top, where I get to earn money doing what I love, helping people, and I'm providing much more value than what I'm charging, right? So everybody kind of wins. But the goal with this is really kind of replace your revenue from your job with a scalable online business so you can quit and focus on what you love and have time to work, time, location to work when you want, work location to work on what you want, and location freedom to work on it where you want to work on it, right? So the examples of this, I have a friend, Daniel, who posts about personal finance and whatnot. He doesn't do coaching or anything. He just posts like not funny videos, but like valuable videos in some way. And basically he just worked with brands in order to raise revenue. So he makes enough to where he was able to quit his job. I have a friend, Kat, who sells online Excel course modules. She's like an Excel coach. And so her big thing was wanting to get away from her job. She enjoys Excel. And here's the thing, does she really enjoy Excel? Does Excel like her, does she like wake up and dream about, some equations and stuff? I don't know, maybe, but I doubt it, but for her, it was really just kind of an avenue for her to get to what she wanted, which was time, work, and location freedom, which is why we're doing any of these things, real estate, stocks, business, whatever. And some other people I know, they have social media coaching. Stephanie has an account where she reviews cities, hotels, and is paid by travel companies for reviews. Haley created social media templates for realtors to use, and people subscribe to that. Megan has created financial trackers. So obviously I know a lot of people in the personal finance space, but there's people that really do anything, right? Cooking, fitness, coaching, social media, advertising, photography, whatever, right? So those are all options for you as well. So which would fit you best? I mean, that's kind of up for you to decide, but this is kind of what we're looking at, right? So, the red, and again, none of these are red in the sense that they're bad, but red, it would be the worst option. And without the others, right? But you can also do multiple of these. As you can see, like I put money in stocks, I put money in real estate, and I have a business. And all three of those combined, I get to kind of use the pros and cons of all of those, right? So stocks, the time to retire, of course, like we said, it's going to require you to make a lot of money. It's going to require you to save up that money and then wait and kind of let compound interest do its trick, right? So 10 to 25 years, again, that's still really good. It just kind of depends on what your timeline is, right? And if you want to involve yourself in real estate and or business, right? So real estate would be a little bit quicker, business will be a little bit quicker. But the point of this is, this isn't just like, hey, if you get into real estate, you're going to retire 5 to 15 years, or hey, if you get into business, you're going to retire in 2 to 5 years, right? Because there's other points here, right? There's the likelihood of achievement, which is risk, and there's also the time required. The stocks require little to no time at all, right? You invest in index funds and you pretty much wait, right? You just work your job and that's cool. Real estate, you have to find properties, network with people, set properties up, and stuff like that. Business, obviously, it's mostly going to be all on you to build it and scale it, which is going to require more time, which you may or may not be okay with. The financial investment, again, like we went over stocks, you don't have to start with this to begin with, like if you're not there. But if you can get to the point where you're doing $3,000 to $4,000 a month, right, you'll get to the point where we talked about earlier. Now, real estate depends on the down payment, right? A lot of people are able to, buy potentially Airbnbs for 10% down, start there, then use the money from their job and other income sources, Airbnbs, to buy the next one or whatever. Some people might be able to work out a deal where they're able to pay little money down, or maybe they start with house hacks where you can buy, houses for 3 to 5% down, live in it, move out after a year, buy another one, etc. So it's kind of dependent, but it's probably a little bit more than $3,000 to $4,000, upfront. And business, it could be little upfront if it's digital, or, it could be 5 to 10 grand if it's photography and you need all this stuff or whatever, right? So just kind of, we want to look at, this is maybe a little bit longer, but less risk, less time, and potentially, not that much investment monetarily. Real estate, maybe a little bit, in the middle here, potentially higher here and more work, right? But, you're going to get there a little bit sooner, probably, if you have success. Business, same thing. You're going to get there the quickest if you have success, but it's going to require probably the most work. And it's also potentially got, I wouldn't say risk, because, there's people that start businesses and you're not really risking anything except for, the time that you put into it, right? Now, if you're buying a clothing business and you buy $30,000 worth of inventory, right, then it's a little bit different scenario. So I want you to kind of take a second, think like, hey, which one fits you? Or maybe I started here, I didn't know about this, and then I went into this, and then I kind of do all three because I enjoy, what each brings to the table. So as you can see, you're kind of putting it all together, right? And you want to see like, okay, how much are you making? The main thing is, how much are you making from real estate, and how much are you making from side hustles or your business, right? And then you subtract that out, and then you, from there you would be able to, see how much you would maybe need like in stocks, right? So as we can see, $60,000, you would need $1.5 million in stocks. But, if you have, let's say, $4,500 a month coming in from rental properties, and your online business, and the online business is scalable, in this situation, you would only need $150,000 in stocks to be able to pool the rest of that, $500 a month or whatever it is. So it's kind of about factoring all that in. You can type this into Grant Sabatier Fire Calculator if you're interested in looking at more. But here's kind of an example, right? So 5,000 per month. My stock portfolio, in theory, brings me in 2,500 a month. Real estate cash flow, 3,000 a month. Business income, 5,000 a month, right? So I'm bringing in way more than what I need. So I'm financially free. I don't need to work the job that I had, right? So as you can see, this is kind of how it all shakes out. It's all about creating income, right? And either putting it here and or putting it here, keeping expenses low, raising income, and then investing into the stock market and or real estate, potentially starting a business if you want. If you do, then you can invest all this and all this into stocks and real estate to get there sooner. So the question is, have you gotten value? If you got value, throw a yes in the chat. If you're like Jimmy Fallon, throw me a fist pump, throw me a peace sign, throw me something. Okay, we got a bunch of yeses. All right, cool. Well, I'm glad you guys got value. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into this. I want you guys to be able to see, like, do you see how now that retiring at 65 no longer seems normal, and how creating financial freedom in your life could only be a 5 to 10 year process, or, anywhere from 5 to 20, right? And that's still a ton better, right, than working till you're 65. And also, it's really just from by employing a few strategies, you could to be saving more, investing more, and building serious wealth. And when you take action and stay consistent, it's possible, for people with no previous financial knowledge to get big results fast. I hope you guys feel empowered and knowledgeable about this. So I'm sure there's some questions that you guys probably still have. And so you're probably thinking like, all right, well, how do I build a spending plan that will allow me to invest more? Should I pay off my debt? How does that affect things? What are the 3 times I should save money? How do I get the best paying jobs? How do I update my LinkedIn? How do I update my resume? How do I network? How do I interview better? How do I land that dream job? How do I make 6 figures? People ask me, how do you maximize your benefits? And then, of course, how do I break down a rental property, right? How do I break it down to determine whether or not it's a good investment? How do I invest in Airbnbs? Should I buy a primary home or should I rent? People ask me about taxes and what investments are right for you. Should you invest in a 401k or a brokerage? What stocks should you invest in within those accounts, right? How do you automate your investing and avoid fees that are going to steal your wealth over time? And what should you be doing kind of on a daily, weekly, monthly, a basis to be able to kind of track this whole system in order to get you to where you want to when you do it, right? People will ask, hey, what kind of business should I start, right? How do I make sure it's profitable? How do I make money? How do I drive traffic, right? And then also people will ask, how do I turn it into a profitable and scalable business that will replace my income as soon as possible? So all those are obviously, really great questions. And those are things that are a little bit deeper, but I wanted to dive in, give you guys as much value as possible. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people in here right now who are wondering, hey, like, okay, I want to dive into those things. Like, I appreciate the free value. I'm definitely going to leave, with more value than I came with, but I want to take those next steps. So I will give you guys that opportunity. So there's really 2 ways for you guys to figure out those things and put it into action. And the first one is the long way, which is the way that this dummy right here did it. And obviously I figured it out. It took me 7 years, but I was like, hey, everything's free. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to YouTube it. I'm going to read all these books, right? I spent thousands of dollars on books, probably more than thousands of dollars on books, thousands of hours going through non-productive trial and error, figuring things out, making mistakes, losing money. And again, I figured it out and I ended up getting there eventually. But knowing what I know now, I'm pretty positive I could have got there in probably half the time, right? Because this is really the hard way. It's about trying to Google and YouTube your way to trying to figure out everything in chronological order, not getting confused when different people say different things. And you're doing it without a well-organized program and doing it without a mentor. So the short way, the way better way is having, I wish I would have had a mentor to where I could talk to them, where they could help guide me through my plan, because there's going to be things that I go through that not everybody else is going through, right? I wish I had a curriculum that was basically just all the books I read and all the experience of people that have gotten to where I've gotten to, just in a chronological, easily digestible format that I can get through in like a month, right? I wish I had more friends that were doing this too, because it's not normal, unfortunately. And you do need people that are also doing this. I wish I had access to everybody that comes with it: Airbnb investors, CPAs, stock market investors, all this kind of stuff. And I wish I had a shortcut really to learning all this information that I need to build my own plan and system so I can get there as soon as possible. So let me ask you guys a question. You guys let me know, if it's all right if I dive into, kind of what that next step is for those of you that are interested. And then what we'll do is we'll dive into questions and answers. And we'll also dive into the code to give you guys for all the free bonuses that are going to come along with being here tonight. So, all right, we got a bunch of yeses in the chat. Definitely a bunch of I'm interested, a bunch of tell me more. So we'll dive into this super quick, and then we'll dive into the Q&A. I just want to give you guys a little bit more information. So a lot of you guys are aware of what my financial freedom masterclass is, but it really is all of these things, right? So what has these tactics done for me? For me, obviously, as you guys know, I built a $1.5 million net worth. I'm financially free. I quit corporate America at 28 years old. I'm never going back. I just went to the British Open because it's a thing that I enjoy golf. When I was young, I didn't have the time or the money. When I was older, in my 20s, I had the money, but not the time. And now I have the time and the money to do what I want, when I want, where I want. And I'm still working and doing something that I love. And I'm truly living out what I consider to be my own version of my ideal dream life, right? And it's all from these things that I've learned. And it's all from these things inside this class, because this class is not about me. It's about you. It's about figuring out what do you need to know, giving you the options, giving you the exact how-to strategy step by step from A to Z to get to where you want to get to as soon as possible. So why did I build this? Well, again, like I said, I learned the hard way, and I thought, hey, like if I had to make a course, right, and I had to give someone 30x value of what they're paying, right, and it taught them everything they needed to know to get to where like everything I learned in 7 years, if I could teach them that in 5 weeks, how would I do that, right? And that's what I taught here, to give you the highest likelihood of achieving your goal of financial freedom, because I'm going to be there, right? I'm there, I'm teaching, I'm doing it live. Office hours, all these things I'll go over in a second. But this is something that is really, there's no other real thing like it I've seen on the internet. And so people ask me, okay, what is in the course, right? Like I said, it's everything from A to Z. So you might need some of this, you might need all of this, but this is literally, you can take this course and go, okay, I know 100% of everything I need to know to immediately take action and start going towards my version of my own plan for financial freedom as soon as possible. So we go over, how do we build that roadmap, right? How do we figure out what do we want? How do we figure out what we want out of a life? And where we're at right now. Where are we at right now as far as our budget, our net worth, our example financial plan? How do I pay off debt as smartly and quickly as possible? How do I determine if I want to pay off debt, right? And then we go into some of the more aggressive strategies once we built that foundation, which is, how do you grow your income, right? How do you build extra income sources and build wealth while also enjoying your life? How do you get raises? How do you find the highest paying jobs? How do you make over 6 figures? How do you get your boss to let you work from home? And then how do you invest this money in order to become financially free as soon as possible? What accounts do you need to invest in the stock market? What do you need to buy within those accounts? If you want to do real estate, how do you decide between long-term and short-term rentals? How do you calculate a deal, right? How do you build a team? How do you buy rental properties outside of your area? These are all things that I personally have done. And I'm also bringing in other people that have done it to help teach different parts of the course as well. And then the last one is, how do you build a profitable and scalable online business if that's something you want to do? So as you can see, this isn't about, hey, take this one track because this one track, I'm going to make it fit you. We could do that, but I want you to figure out what you want. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I'm going to give you all the tools you need to build a plan. So by the end you go, this is how I'm going to make money. This is how I'm going to raise my income. This is how I'm going to, curtail my expenses. This is how I'm going to invest my money, right? And this is when I'm going to be able to retire financially free, right? And so we put together a whole action plan. So what are the different parts of the course? Well, it's a 5-week live masterclass, right? So it comes with 10 modules, all the modules we went over there. It's live, but it's also recorded, right? So some people will show up live, some people won't. It's about half and half. Both people love the course, but as you can see here, you can show up live and people talk, just like you probably get my passion tonight. I mean, sometimes I probably haven't even drank water. I probably don't know what time it is. I don't know how long we've been in here, because I truly love and enjoy this stuff. And it comes out with my students and the people that are in the masterclass. I dive into those people. I'm answering emails. I'm answering messages. I'm answering Facebook comments. I'm answering live questions. I'm answering office hours, right? Because I want them not to just take the course and feel like they're in there and this guy doesn't really care about them. I'm going to be having one-on-one conversations with you, which typically for one-on-ones, I charge $300 or $400 for an hour and people pay it. And this whole masterclass is not even that much, right? So people always talk about the live sessions and just how much they can, ask questions in it. And there's so much information and all that stuff. Another thing is obviously you get lifetime access to all these recordings. So it's like 20, 30 hours almost that you take in 5 weeks, right? And you get lifetime access to those recordings. If you ever need to hop into a future course or masterclass to do more, right? It might be expensive down then if you wait, but if you jump in, on this one, you don't have to pay to join future ones as well if you want to kind of hop back in, learn more, et cetera, or take advantage of office hours and stuff like that. So people love the live classes, as you can see, but they also thought the direct email access to me and also my wife helping people with their resumes, their interviewing, their LinkedIn, all that kind of stuff, where we help people find better jobs. We help the person go from $40,000 a year to $85,000 a year within 2 weeks while they were in the course, which is still insane to me. But so you get lifetime access to the course. We also have a private Facebook group, right, where I'm in there every single day, giving you reminders, giving you recaps, giving you action steps, answering any questions that you have. And then also there are private lives, right? So I'm bringing in an Airbnb investor who owns over 10 Airbnbs. I'm bringing in an HR vice president that's going to teach us what we need on a resume and network and LinkedIn, and how do we get these higher paying jobs. We're going to bring in a CPA to tell us how to save on taxes, right? And so all these different things are all included within the price of the course. And as you can see, I'm not going to go through every single class here, but they're all in the evening, right? You can show up, you don't show up. I think a lot of people that even don't show up, still said, hey, I got a ton out of it, because they're immediately recorded and uploaded to where you can access them that night or watch it the next day or throughout the week when it's convenient for you. And then you also have office hours where it's me, 2 hours, no curriculum, where you can just show up on something like this, type in your questions, and I answer your questions one-on-one or in small groups, and you get all your stuff answered. So I think that's a really cool. And then obviously, like I said, we also have a special guest sprinkled in throughout the course to kind of further our learning. So it's jam-packed. It's meant to be like that. If you have a lot going on, I would challenge you that everybody has a lot going on. Because a lot of people say, hey, well, once I get through this, whatever I'm doing, then I'll do it. Right. But there's no real perfect time. And I would say, hey, jump in now, because you don't even have to show up live. You can also just show up to the office hours. As you watch the courses, you can post on Facebook, you can email me, right? And so I would urge you that, to jump in. You also have lifetime access to the course. And the last thing, obviously you can see how the value of this course, I mean, what's the real value? As you can see, this person right here, I feel like the course fast forwarded our timeline by decades. I'm already going for a promotion where she's getting a $5,000 raise, right? So $5,000 for her from just one part of the course. And then Sean is her husband. He's the guy who went from $40,000 a year to $85,000 a year. So genuinely, those two people from just one module in the course, they made $50,000, right? That they'll make every single year for the rest of their life because of things that they learned in here, right? So for them, it's kind of hard to say what the value is, because this is Sam. She bought her first rental property in Mexico, which is crazy to me. We got people buying properties out of the country. Sarah got a $10,000 raise, and she's now working from home and has more time to build her business where she's making more money. So for her, that's a $15,000, $20,000 raise. Sam, Airbnb, cash flowing, and it's a vacation home for her family. John dropped his savings rate, or raised his savings rate 30%, and paid off student loans in the last 2 months. Sean is the guy that got the raise. So there's just all these kind of stories where a lot of it's people that are saving money on their budgeting, making more money from the career portion, people that are buying rental properties, people that are investing in the stock market, and people that are starting online businesses. So it's a little bit of everything, right? So the last question I want to ask you guys is, if all this course did was give you the information that you needed to figure out how to easily save an extra $1,000 a month, or get an immediate $10,000 to $50,000 raise like Sean did, or buy your first Airbnb, like she did in Mexico, that will make you tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars over time, what would that be worth to you? If this course, all it did was teach you everything you need to know about how to safely and effectively invest in the stock market, real estate, and build a business, right? That's going to make you thousands, if not millions of dollars over the course of time, and compound interest over the course of the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, what would that be worth to you? And the last one is, if all this course did was give you 100% of the information that you need in 30 days, instead of you trying to, for the next 5, 10, 15 years, read through books on YouTube and Google and hope that you figure it all out, and not that you figure it out too late down the road, what would this course be worth to you? So everyone asks, okay, so what's the price? Well, the price of the course is actually only $297. And because you guys are here, I promised you guys a bonus. The bonus is going to be, you're also going to get my full 6-hour real estate investing course that's going to come with this for free for people that act tonight and that jump on this offer that I'm giving you. And you're also going to be getting $50 off tonight. So it's going to be $247. So when you are watching this, if you are watching it, then that means that this is open. So if you're watching this, then know that, go to my page, click on Defining Wealth Online right here. You can go to Defining Wealth Online on Google. You can go to the link in my bio on Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter, and it will be there. And all you do is you go to, enroll in the course. And also what you guys got to think about is, for $247, you're getting $5,000 in value, and you're really getting $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 of dollars in wealth building strategies over the course of your lifetime. I also want to make 2 important notes. One, I have a 100% money back guarantee. That means that for whatever reason you get in and you take the course, there's no way you're going to say that it's not worth it, but you might say, hey, it's just not the right time, or I had this emergency come on and I don't want to, please unenroll me from the course or whatever. I'll give your money back. No questions asked. I will let you know though, last time we had 100 people take the course, 0 people asked for their money back. Most people said, I can't believe you only charged us this amount of money. But another thing I do for people, because they say, well, I don't have $247 right now. What you can do is, like, for instance, some of these people like Sean put it on a credit card and then he got a $40,000 new job. So he was able to pay off that $247. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, where people that are wealthy or people that want to be wealthy, there's spending and there's investing, right? And this is truly an investment in yourself. This is truly an investment in your family. This is truly an investment in your earning potential and your investment potential. And really, you can break it down too. I do offer payment plans. So that means that, like, for tonight, if you buy right now, you can get started for only $60 down, right? And it's just $60 a month for 4 months, or you can break it up into 2 months, or you can just knock it all out at once. But I do have a 30-day money back guarantee. So there's literally no risk at all. And at this point, obviously you guys have two choices, and I'll love you either way regardless. But I know there's a lot of people on the fence, and I know the power of this course. I've seen the impact it has on people's lives. So for the people that are on the fence, it is actually, I believe it's my job to help them make a decision that's going to better their lives. And again, worst case scenario, you get your money back, right? So option number 1, you can do nothing. You can take all the awesome free info that we've learned tonight. You can use it to start your journey. I'll do my best to give you some awesome books. I can give you a book list, but again, those books, 20 to 25 books, $20 a book, that's going to cost you $500, which is twice as much as the price of the course. Or obviously, if you're here, I would bet that you're definitely smart enough to figure this out. It just might take you 5 to 10 years, right? The issue is, how long are you willing to put off your dream life, right? And option 2 is, you take a massive leap towards your dream life right now, right? And a big concept I always talked about is the concept of risk, as I talked about earlier. People say stocks are risky, real estate's risky, starting a business is risky, and investing in your education is risky. But the ironic thing is, what is the alternative, right? Not doing these things presents you with the biggest risk of all, which is working potentially at a job that you don't enjoy for the next 40 years, 30 years, only saving up just enough money to barely retire at an age where you're not able to really even enjoy that money that you saved up, right? So, it's funny, people will spend $20,000, $30,000 on college, but there's a course right here that's $250 that will teach you 100% of everything you need to know to be financially free within 5 to 10 years, depending on how much action you take. So the last word I will say before we jump into everything is, there's really 2 scenarios. You decide to wait and you delay your financial freedom, but you get to save $247. Or number 2, you get to invest in yourself tonight. You learn how to make tens of thousands of dollars more. You start moving towards your dream life today. You get my ebook, you get my rental property calculator. You also get my real estate course. You also get $50 off of the masterclass. And in 30 days from now, you get to not live with the potential what ifs of, hey, well, what would have happened? I wonder what would have happened, right? And you get to see these testimonials that we're going to see here. And I don't want to scare you, but obviously there's going to be people that have these testimonials, because there's going to be some people here that they don't act tonight. And that's fine. I get it. Everyone's got their own decision to make. We're all adults. But there's going to be people that don't make that decision tonight. And then they're going to have to look at these testimonials when I post them in 2 weeks or 4 weeks about people that got all these awesome things out of the course. And they're going to have to go, did I really risk more by saving this money, or did I risk more by not jumping into this opportunity to change my life? So normally I would say take a chance. But obviously in this situation, there's 100% money back guarantee for any reason whatsoever. So there's actually no risk at all. And I do that on purpose because I don't want, you work hard for your money. You deserve to spend it on things that are going to give you value. And if you don't feel like you got value and you don't feel like it's going to help you, you 100% deserve to get every single penny that you got back, right? But, and that's why I want to do that. So instead of saying take a chance, like I said at the bottom here, I'm going to take a page out of Nike's playbook and say, hey, just do it, right? Because there always comes a time where you think this is going to be the perfect time. This is going to be the perfect time. There's no more perfect time than the time you decide that the pain of staying the same is more than the pain of changing, right? And so that's what happened to me 7 years ago. I said, hey, fed up with this. I don't want this is what I want my life to be. I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to put in the effort. I know this isn't going to be easy. And I wish I had an opportunity like I have that I'm giving you guys right here, because I probably would have got there a lot sooner and saved a lot of stress and lost money and lost time and mistakes. So I'll leave you guys with that. here's some more course testimonials, and I'll make sure to put the link in the chat. So it's the Finding Wealth Online, and you can go to the Financial Freedom Masterclass page. As you can see here, this guy bought a rental property. This guy bought a rental property. This guy's raised the savings rate. This person's talking about the best part of the course is the availability of me. And then the last part here is this person's basically talking about how, this is Sean's wife, husband and wife, they took it together. She got a promotion. She got a raise, helped her think differently. She's about to start a new opportunity. He got a $40,000 raise. He never knew that he was worth that much on the job market. And so now he knows his worth moving forward as well. So if you guys are interested, you have questions, make sure to throw them in the chat. If you're jumping in tonight, let me know. I want to, congratulate you guys for taking this investment and doing it. And, this is kind of the last one. It's kind of my favorite testimonial. I send this to everybody at the end of the course because I want to get genuine feedback on it. And, I'd say, what do you want to say? And this person said, hey, if I was talking to somebody that was on the fence, what would you say to that person? They said, do it, right? It's worth every penny. I feel Tyler could charge way more for this course. I've explained it to my friends, family, this course, and they're shocked when I've told them the price. So I hope that you guys take advantage of this. And, you can jump in tonight, right? And, look at this. And this is the online, this is the link to join, right? You don't need a discount code or anything. I've got it set up. Just, it's only open for you guys. It's only open for, the night that you're looking at it. I have tracking on it to know that you have been in here. So I want to reward you guys, right, for being in here. So if you guys sign up before the masterclass begins, then you'll be getting the real estate course. You'll be getting the deal, and you'll be able to join and, change your life through all the different aforementioned things. So we'll look at, we'll go back right here. So here's your free gifts that I want to give you guys for being here. So on Instagram, DM me the word ebook, and it should send you a link. Basically, you'll just put in like your name and email, and then it should send you the ebook. That way I don't have to, it's physically impossible for me to send an ebook to everybody. And it's kind of like a PDF. It's tough to like host it somewhere. So basically I've set it up to where it should just automatically send to you. It's going to be easier for everybody. And then DM you the word calculator, DM me the word calculator on Instagram, and it should send you same thing. You put in your name, email. It should send you like one email, maybe two emails, and it should be separate, have the calculator in there, right? So those are my free gifts for you guys showing up tonight. I hope you guys are excited. We've got a bunch of people in the chat saying, hey, I'm jumping in. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. We got Sarah saying she's ready to go. We got David saying he's ready to go, right? So if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw it in there. I will answer questions, and I'll leave this kind of up for you guys, and we'll do questions for maybe the next 10, 15 minutes as well. So feel free to ask questions about what we've gone over tonight, my story, any questions you might have about any of these, situations we went over, or if you have any questions about the course itself. So make sure to answer any questions, and we will go from there. For you guys watching, click the link here. If you can't click the link, then go to Defining Wealth Online. You can type that into Google, go to the Financial Freedom Masterclass page, or you can click the link in my bio on Instagram, Twitter. But I would click it right now, and I would give you guys the opportunity to jump in there, right? So click the link in my bio now, jump in there. Again, I'll know that you guys were in here in the course, and you'll be able to get the special offer due to tracking and all that kind of stuff. So click the link in my bio on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. It will be in there. And that way you guys can take advantage, and I can't wait to see you guys in. If you guys know of anybody else that is also interested, even if they weren't in here tonight, since you guys are in here tonight, if you guys have other people that are interested, make sure they click, and you can let them get this price too before it goes back up. I will be raising the price of the course. This is the lowest the prices of the course is ever going to be moving forward. Most people have been saying, hey, I wish, or not I wish, but they said this should be $297, $397, $497. And to be honest, I feel like if I can charge $397 and give someone $5,000, $6,000 in value or more, then that's abundance, right? That's fair. Where they're getting more value, I'm getting value, right? Everybody wins in that situation. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. And what we'll do is I'll go ahead and leave that open. So click the link below, act now. And then what we'll do is we'll get you the ebook, we'll get you the calculator, we'll get you the bonuses, we'll get you the real estate course. And that way you guys can dive in. And I'm excited to see you guys starting for the upcoming cohort.